Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit crazy. It's not my typical content, but it goes along with my content because I know a lot of you that have struggled with breakups and divorce have suffered with some type of anxiety. Please keep in mind that I am not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. This is just my experience in dealing with anxiety for so many years. These are the embarrassing moments that I have experienced. These are the uncomfortable moments that I've experienced while dealing with phobias and anxiety and panic disorder. I hope that you will enjoy this video. It's crazy. It's crazy. I can't believe I'm sharing this stuff, but I'm going to go ahead and share it anyway. Generalized anxiety is, I can't even say it. Like, I literally can't even say it. Anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, panic attacks, and phobias. I was sitting on the curb outside of Forever 21 in the 40-degree weather, in the rain, wearing a bra and my jeans. Oh, crying too. Let's just add crying to it. I was doing that too. I've been treated by so many different psychiatrists. One of them hypnotized me, did hypnosis on me in Boca. I used to fly planes, and now I'm terrified to get on a plane. I was going on roller coasters. I was pretty much fearless. Welcome to my channel, and welcome to my story. 35 years ago, I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder and panic attacks and phobias. It's been a very challenging experience for me over the years. What is it like to experience this disorder? Everyone experiences this differently. It can be extremely invasive in your life, debilitating, frustrating. If you're someone that has anxiety disorder, then I welcome you to watch my story. And also, if you live with someone or are close to someone that has anxiety disorder or panic attacks, I want you to understand that this is not something that they can control. Here is my story. I was pretty much a normal teen with normal teen stress and normal teen problems. 7th and 8th grade, I went to public school. And in 9th grade, I decided that I wanted to go to school with my best friend, Tammy. She went to a smaller little Christian school that only had about 28 people in a grade. So I ended up at school with Tammy. Hey, Tammy. I actually loved it. It was small. You knew everybody. You didn't feel like an outcast there. My mom didn't like my friends a whole lot. This school allowed people in that had been kicked out of other schools. But there were a lot of kids in there that had gotten into some trouble. I ended up finding the ones that had gotten into trouble a little bit more fun. I might have had a little bit of Mary Jane. Just a little bit. My mom didn't like it. And my mom was like, oh, hell no. Nope. She sent me to Catholic school in 11th grade. I didn't know anything about Catholicism at all. I was completely out of the loop on that. I had grown up with my dad who didn't believe in God. My mom was a Methodist. But they never told me about Catholic anything. So the first day of class, I was in a uniform. There was no air conditioning at the school at all. It was really, really hot. I live in the South, in Alabama. There was no air conditioning, no heat, no nothing. So it was a little warm. I didn't know anybody at the school going in. I did see my friend Heather. She is still one of my best friends to this day. She had been at the other school with me, and her parents sent her to Catholic school too. So we were stuck in Catholic school together. Everybody had to go in and gather in the gymnasium for Mass. So we're talking several hundred kids. It was hot, and I was stuck way up in the bleachers at the very top in the middle of all these people. It was so quiet in there that you could literally hear a pin drop. It was dead silent. All of a sudden, I got really, really hot. I couldn't breathe. I felt my heart was pounding. I felt like really, really dizzy. I felt like I didn't know where I was. I just had to get out of there. So I ran down the bleachers, ran down the steps, and ran into the bathroom where a teacher found me in there, and I was in the stall, and she banged on it and she said, "What are you doing? Why did you leave Mass?" She was furious that I had left Mass. And I'm in there crying. I'm like, I can't breathe. And she sent me to the principal's office. My mom came and got me at the principal's office, took me home, and I was okay for the time being. And then it started reoccurring all the time. Every day I went to school almost. I would be sitting in the middle of class and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. My heart would pound. I would start sweating, feel like I was going to pass out, feel like I was going to throw up, feel like I was going to die right there. And I'd run to the bathroom. So I was constantly in the bathroom. They were constantly sending me to the principal's office where my mom would come and collect me from school. Finally, she was like, "That's it. You're going to the doctor. Something's wrong with you." I went to my pediatrician. The pediatrician was like, "I don't know what's wrong with her. She needs to go to a psychiatrist." So I got to go to a psychiatrist for the first time, where he diagnosed me with anxiety and panic attacks. Back in the 80s, nobody really knew what anxiety disorder was or panic attacks or anything like that. I had never heard of it. I didn't know anybody with it. He put me on a medicine called Wellbutrin and a medicine called Klonopin. It was like, and I was taking these medications and it really was not helping. It was taking the edge off a little bit. It was like a Band-Aid though, and it really wasn't helping me. I was very frustrated because just a few months before that, my life looked completely different. I was riding motorcycles. I was flying. My dad made me go to aviation school before I was allowed to get a car. I was going to aviation school. I had this big old huge textbook that I had to learn. When you're learning to fly, you have to know everything about that plane. You have to know the weather. You have to know the mechanics of the plane. There's a lot to learn. I was doing great with it. I was loving it. I was able to take off. I was able to land a plane. I had a couple rough landings, which did not cause me to have a panic attack. I mean, it would, like normal stress kind of thing. Butterflies in the stomach kind of stress. But nothing like what I had experienced in a school gymnasium. So I was flying a plane. I was going on roller coasters. I was pretty much fearless up until that day in the gymnasium when my whole life changed. So here I was with this strange diagnosis that I had received months before. I was flying an airplane and riding motorcycles. My whole life was changed. I was afraid to go out of my house. There were no plans put in place for me at school. Nothing. I had to just get through it. I couldn't go in the cafeteria at lunchtime and eat like a normal person. I would get my lunch. They had a Frosty machine, like a Wendy's Frosty machine, and they had French fries. And every day, that was my lunch. I would grab a Frosty, I would grab some French fries, and I would take off. This is gross, so just brace yourself, to the bathroom where I would eat my lunch because I was starving to death. But I could not eat with all those people around, which is where my phobia comes in. My first phobia that I remember is eating in public. It's crazy, I know, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but I hate eating in public. And it's not because I think I'm fat. It's not because I think people are staring at me. I literally will get into a restaurant and I can't eat my food or even swallow my water. So my mom would take me out when I was younger, and she would, I would sit in front of my food and she would be like, "We're not leaving until you eat everything." It was really bad because I'd have to sit there and I couldn't physically swallow. No matter what I did, I just couldn't swallow. Now at home, I didn't have a problem with eating. And like I said, I didn't think I was fat. I really don't know what the problem is. If anybody has ever heard of this, please let me know. I have gone to, over the years, I was sent to at least 6, I think I counted 6 different psychologists to try to figure out why I have this phobia. And I still do it to this day. I've gotten better at it. If I know the restaurant really well, or if I sit outside, or if I'm comfortable with who I'm with, then I can usually eat a little bit. In some restaurants, if they're really crowded and there's bright lights and a lot of noise, yeah, I can't eat at all. I usually just I'll just take home my food in a to-go box and eat it later. And that has been extremely frustrating. When I started dating again, I went out with this guy. He looked at me and asked, "Do you have an eating disorder?" So he thought I had an eating disorder. And you guys know that I would tell you if I had an eating disorder, but I don't. I do not have an eating disorder. I don't know, maybe it is some kind of an eating. I guess it is an eating disorder because I can't eat when I'm in public. I don't know. I don't know, and nobody else knows. So if you know, please let me know. Phobia number 2, escalators. I don't struggle with this anymore, but for some reason, all of a sudden, when I was pregnant with Alexa, I was 21, all of a sudden, I was afraid to get on an escalator at the mall. Yeah, my mom would be dragging me around the mall. We would have to go find the elevators and all the department stores to get me upstairs and downstairs. An escalator. Yes, I was afraid of escalators. I overcame my fear of escalators. I no longer have that phobia. Just the eating one. The swallowing one. The swallowing in a restaurant one. That's still a problem. You're never going to believe what phobia number 3 is. Phobia number 3 was right after I had had Alexa. I hadn't been on an airplane in probably a year or 2. We were going to go down to Fort Lauderdale to go visit my uncle. Alexa was just a little bitty baby. She was about 3 months old, I believe at the time. She was about 3 months old. And we get on the airplane, just like I always have gotten on the airplane. We used to go back and forth to Fort Lauderdale. It was my second home. So we would go back and forth to Fort Lauderdale at least 4 times a year on a plane. I have flown hundreds of times. I mean, I had like so many frequent flyer miles, it was ridiculous. But anyway, I go to get on this plane, just like any other day, except for I have a baby. That was the only difference. We take off in the air, and I'm sitting in the middle, and there's a man on this side, and my mom on this side. I have a complete meltdown. My mom had to take the baby Alexa. I can't breathe. I'm panicking. I'm freaking out. At that time, I had gone off of all of my medication. So because I had gotten pregnant with Alexa, and I was taking Klonopin and Wellbutrin at the time. And when I called my doctor, he said, and told him that I was pregnant, he said, no, you've got to get off all your medications immediately. You have 5 days to get off of it. Ooh, that was not fun because I had been taking Klonopin for 5 years or so at the time. That's a whole nother story. I had been off of medication since I was pregnant with her because you cannot take those medications when you're pregnant. At least they don't recommend it. I gave my mom the baby on the airplane while I'm having a panic attack, no medication, and we landed in Atlanta. So it was a 30-minute plane ride. Here I was, I used to fly planes, and now I'm terrified to get on a plane. Luckily, my mom was a flight attendant for TWA back in the 60s. And so she took me to the gift shop as soon as we landed, and she was carrying me by the arm. She's got the stroller, she's got the baby, and she's got me carrying me by the arm. And she goes right into that gift shop and she gets Dramamine and buys Dramamine, gets them out of the package, and she's like, swallow 2 of these. And it actually helped me a lot, and I was able to get to Fort Lauderdale. After that trip to Fort Lauderdale, I went on probably about a 10-year no-fly zone. Like, I wouldn't fly for like 10 years. I no longer have that phobia either. How I love to fly. I love it again. It's not a problem anymore. Phobia number 4, throw up. It's called emetophobia. I looked up the definition. Emetophobia. It's the fear of throwing up. And I have that. I am terrified if somebody else throws up, or if I feel like I'm going to throw up. If I feel like I'm going to throw up, I really don't leave the house. Now, actually, I do now. It's gotten better, but I'm talking about years ago when this started. That phobia went on for years, to where I was afraid if I got a stomach ache that I was going to throw up. The truth is, knock on wood, I haven't thrown up in like 25 years, but I'm always terrified that I'm going to throw up. But that has gotten extremely better. But that's one of those things that you can't face every day. You can't be like, oh, excuse me, could you please throw up so I can watch? But having kids will take care of that phobia, because kids throw up. Through having my children, I kind of got over that, because you have to clean up throw up and you have to help them when they're sick, because that's a mom thing. After the plane incident, that was pretty much the last actual panic attack that I had, besides in Forever 21 a few years ago. It was in the middle of the winter time. It was pouring down rain outside. So I ran into the dressing room and I took all my clothes off. I grabbed clothes just so I could go in the dressing room and strip down, because I was burning up. I didn't even try on any clothes. I just took all my clothes off, just my bra, and left my jeans and stuff on. And I couldn't breathe. I was just shaking. I was really, really shaky. That's another thing that would happen to me. I was shaking. So I ended up, our Forever 21 has 2 entrances. It's got like a mall entrance, and then it's got the outside entrance that goes to the outside. So I ran out of that dressing room and went to the curb, and I was only wearing a bra. I was wearing a bra. I was sitting on the curb outside of Forever 21 in the 40-degree weather, in the rain, wearing a bra in my jeans. Crying. Oh, crying too. Let's just add crying to it. I was doing that too. Wow. Over the years, I have seen a psychiatrist for as long as I can remember. I'm not diagnosed with panic attacks anymore, but just generalized anxiety disorder. I have come so far with my anxiety, but it has been a lifelong trial and error thing. The only thing that I still struggle with is the eating in public and just being generally anxious all the time. Like, my heart rate is always, even resting, my heart rate is pretty elevated. I've done every kind of treatment that you can imagine for anxiety. I've done holistic treatment for anxiety. I've done medical treatment for anxiety. I've done pretty much everything you can do for anxiety. How does anxiety start in the first place? What actually triggers it? Like, why did it decide to come on all of a sudden when I went to that new school? And what I personally think is that major life events can trigger it. A major life event can come along, a divorce, a relationship breakup, financial trouble. It could be so many things. Any kind of a trauma in your life can bring on anxiety disorder. My phobia of eating out. I could stay home and order out, or I could pick up my food to go, but I don't. My boyfriend makes me go out to eat like a lot, like a lot out to eat. So I go out to eat now a lot, like several times a week, at least once a week. And some days I do really good, and sometimes I don't do so good. But he's really, really kind and understanding, and he knows what my situation is. And he knows when I just can't swallow it. He doesn't say anything to me about it. He'll just eat my food or pack it up for me or whatever. He's really, really good about that. But I don't let it stop me from going. In fact, I make myself do the things that I fear the very, very most. Do not let anxiety define you. You have got to face those things, face those fears. Just like with me in the elevator situation. What did I have to do to get over that phobia? I had to keep getting on an elevator over, and I went to the mall and I rode that elevator up and down and up and down and up and down until I was no longer afraid to ride that elevator. And same with the plane. I took a lot of Dramamine and a lot of medicine to get on the plane the first couple times, and then I found that I was able to do it with no medication. But it was that repetition of doing those things, facing those things that we fear the very, very most. What I want to leave you with right now is do not let anxiety control your life. Face your fears. Realize that we're not really in control of much of anything.
Jenn?
But just the fact that you're getting up
Jenn?
every day and facing life is huge. Don't let it define you. Anxiety disorder is not who you are. I had one psychiatrist that told me you will always be on medication. You will never be able to go without it. One of them asked me how I handled it. How was I doing so well? How was I able to actually decrease my medicine where other people were increasing their dosages constantly? The only thing that I could think to say about it is I just told him, I said, I just have to laugh at it. I have to just laugh at it. It's caused so many different
in the kitchen, Jenn.
scenarios in my life.
Jenn, I left the cat out. Oh, God.
There is that quote that says laughter is the best medicine. And for anxiety, I feel honestly like laughter is one of the best medicines for it. You can't change it. You can't stop a panic attack when it comes on. But, I can look back at all the times that I've had them over the years and the ridiculous situations that I was in because of them. And all I can do about it is just laugh about it. And that helps me, believe it or not. Laughing at it helps me. Even though it's not funny, I know when you're going through a panic attack, laughing at it is some of the best medicine. I'm going to wrap this up right now. If you made it to the end, congratulations. You deserve an award. I hope that it helped you in some way. I hope that you will come back and join me some more on my channel. I am definitely going to be doing a part 2 and possibly a part 3 on this, talking about ways that I have been able to cope and manage my anxiety over the years, the different medications I've used, the different therapies that I've done, the things that have helped and the things that have not helped. Thank you guys so much for supporting my channel. I love each and every single one of you. So much love and light.